Welcome to Writer's Life, a place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life. Where you get the truth about the writer's life. Look like I'm wearing a leisure suit from the 70s. Gold chain. I don't have a gold chain. Um, Subscribe if you haven't already. Punch out the like button. And tap the bell for notifications. So that you don't miss out on one single exciting video. So we used to have a lot of different kinds of sayings on the construction site. Most of them I can't say here since this is a family channel. 99.9% of them. Boy, you want to hear F-bombs being dropped. Oh my God. But anyway, one of the sayings was you don't mix cement with water and cement mix and sand and stuff like that. You mix it with sweat. In other words, you use a hoe and you shovel and you fill buckets. Hard work. I did it for a lot of summers. I think 6 or 7 summers, something like that. Kind of hating every minute of it, but I had no choice because, my father didn't give me a choice on my summer jobs. He was like, "This is what you're doing. This is where you got to show up tomorrow, 10 to 7." On occasion, I'd have to pick somebody up, so I'd have to leave even earlier in the morning. And that was it. And I believe he gave me cash at the end of the week, some cash, and he took, which is smart because he took like half my paycheck or more and used it to give me money, to give me money on a monthly basis through college so that I'd have money through college. So I got the money, it's just, I don't even know why I'm bringing that up, but he was smart about it. Anyway, it was funny because every now and then we'd hire like another high school dude or whatever who, claimed to be in great shape, pumping iron, jogging, and all that sort of stuff, kind of like I do now. And they wouldn't last like a day or they wouldn't come back the next day. We had one guy who's a film producer now I went to high school with, who's a real good guy. And he worked one full summer. And he did a good job. But for the most part, I was it. I was the young kid, and I was also the boss's son, which made it worse. So there's probably a lot of people that hated me, but so what? And there were a lot of guys who were really nice to me and willing to teach me stuff. Most of those guys were Vietnam vets, and they were young at the time. They were in their mid to late 30s. Boy, they drank, and they worked hard. Oh, my God. You wouldn't believe how hard these Vietnam vets worked. They just were so used to, they were just so happy not to be in Vietnam anymore. Like this was like a gift to them. My father always made sure he hired vets when he could. So at one point I was working with World War II vets, Korean vets, and Vietnam vets. They all had a bunch of stories and they could take pain like you wouldn't believe. Like I remember one guy, his name was Hanachik. He reminded me of Charles Bronson because he looked like him. He must have been, I don't know, 5'2" tall, like a tail gunner or something like that. But he was like stacked. He was a mason. And he was also sort of a survivalist. He'd walk into the woods on the weekend with like a knife, maybe some beef jerky, and then walk out on Sunday evening. I don't know, maybe with a deer over his shoulders or something. I don't know. These guys were like crazy. Nothing like the soy boys we see today. They just would eat them up for lunch. And they certainly weren't woke, that's for sure. But these guys, they worked so hard. And then some of them, and I would go with them, at lunch break, you got like 30 minutes, right? You get 30 minutes. Usually it ended up being 45 minutes, but who's counting? And we'd go to a bar and drink like 3 pitchers and maybe have some pizza or something like that. But you could get away with that stuff in those days. And then work in the hot sun the rest of the afternoon. Oh my God. But I remember this guy Hanishek, he cut his hand like from the top of the finger, like all the way down to here. And it's wide open, like a split open sausage. I would have been like, oh my God. Everybody knows what a baby I am, right? Even today. And I'm like, aren't you going to go get that like fixed? And he's like, well, no, it's not time to quit yet. But that's the dedication they had. They really were dedicated, hard workers, and they put 110% into what they did. So, what am I getting at here? I think the reason a lot of writers don't succeed, or they just fade off into the sunlight and don't end up making it, is because they're not willing to put in the work. Simple as that. Like when you're a mason labor or mason tender or whatever, like you don't get mason tender block. You don't get, like, well, I'm just not feeling it today, so I'm not going to show up. And you get fired. So you show up every day, and why wouldn't you want to show up every day if you're a fiction writer anyway? Because to me, it's a blast writing this stuff. It's not a job. It's not nearly as hard as working a construction site. So, but for some people, it really is work, and it really is difficult, and it hurts their brain, and they're talented. Don't get me wrong, they're talented, but they just can't write prolifically to save their lives, and therefore they have to have another kind of job, or a side gig at the least to get by. So I consider myself lucky, but I think that work ethic was established back when I was a teenager and in my early 20s on the construction site, and I think being in awe of these vets and their hard work ethic really paid off for me as a writer, no doubt about it. I remember my Uncle Joe. He worked for my dad. He used to he would bust balls. Oh my God! Like he was the nicest guy. Dry sense of humor. And if he was a supervisor, and if a truck full of scaffolding pulled up, he'd say, "Okay, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to take all this stuff off the truck, and then we're going to put it together over there. And then when we're done with it over there, we're going to pull it all back down again, and we're going to put it back up over there. And then when we're done with that, we're going to take it all back down again, and we're going to put it up over there. And at the end of the day, we're going to take it down again, and we're going to put it all back on the truck." And because oh my God, I'll never forget it. Like I'm not 3 minutes into my first day on a construction site, and they hand me from the top of the truck a piece of scaffolding, and I just go, boom, on my back. I didn't expect it to be so heavy. Anyway, everybody laughed at me, because I deserved it. About a week after that, I stepped on a 6-penny nail. It went right through my foot, and that was the end of my summer working. So, but I was like 14 or 15, I hadn't even hit my growth spurt yet. Not that I've had much of a growth spurt, but you know what I'm saying? All right, I'm rambling. So that's it. You don't mix cement with water. You mix it with sweat. It's the same goes for writing. All right, I will catch you guys tomorrow, God willing. Ciao, ciao.